Welcome to our Wednesday reflection from St Clement's, Oxford. On Wednesday of the first Holy Week, Mark's Gospel dates Jesus' anointing at Bethany. Jesus was staying in the house of Simon the leper, chapter 14 records, when a woman entered with an alabaster jar of fragrant ointment, a nard perfume made from flowers which grow only in the Himalayas, making it highly prized and very expensive. The woman broke the jar and poured all the precious oil on Jesus' head, running down his head, his beard, we might imagine, down on the collar of his robes. Like the dew of Hermon falling on the mountains of Zion did this ointment flow, a bestowal of blessing, an anointing of a king. And yet this woman is also a prophet, foreseeing death. The disciples watching express their indignation. Why this waste? This valuable perfume could have been sold for more than most of us earn in a year, and that money given to the poor. And they are outraged at her. Jesus defends the woman. Leave her alone. Why are you telling her off? This is good she has done. Good for me. You can do good for the poor whenever you want, but good for me you can't. You will not always have me. She has anointed my body for its burial. Wherever in the world the gospel is proclaimed, what this woman has done will be told in memory of her. It is a stunning story. Once again, we recognize a sign here of what's to come. Jesus will die this week. Only this is not a saying like the buried grain, nor a parable like the murdered son in the vineyard. This is an action by a disciple. This unnamed woman, perhaps more than anyone else this week, shows us what discipleship means. And those who rebuke her show us the dark side of discipleship. Why do I say the dark side of discipleship? You might assume these disciples are advocating something good here, helping the poor, and they are. Jesus does not deny the importance or good of relieving poverty. Where the dark side is revealed is through their perception of waste. For calling something waste is like holding up a mirror to what we value, how we measure worth, and whether we think we have plenty or not enough. Waste is not just what we say we don't need, the excess we can afford to throw away, like food left on a plate or plastic packaging or what's produced after digestion. Waste is also something seen to be valuable going unused or squandered. We perhaps associate this more with people when talents or skills are ignored or misdirected. Unemployment, for instance, is a waste of people's gifts. Poor education wastes potential. And we can think the equivalent of objects. Perceptions of waste and worth can change. Witness the way our society has suddenly, madly maybe, changed its view of toilet roll, among other household items, as soon as they've been supposed in short supply. How long before Andrex puppy adverts are banned for their immoral example? Why this waste, I hear viewers complain. That rolled out packet could have been sold on eBay for however many days' wages. A jest, of course. But the example highlights a mindset not too distant from the disciples at Bethany. The accusation of waste is levelled because they measure the worth of the ointment in monetary terms. The scarcity they see is money. There is not enough money for the poor. Therefore, anything their society values must be turned into money to address this primary lack. Only Jesus points out money is not these disciples' primary lack, nor is it even the world's preeminent scarcity. The true lack or scarcity right now is time with the living, breathing body of Jesus. You will not always have me, he says, 2 days before he dies. The unnamed woman disciple has recognized this scarcity and so recognized the value of what she has, a moment, an opportunity to anoint the head of the Messiah, to prepare his body for burial with this abundant, precious oil she owns. Such an action is an example of good discipleship because it values the right things at the right time. It responds to the world in the light of God's presence and priority. The dark side of discipleship is what we try and do away from the light of God's presence and priority, and all our attempts to do good things at the wrong time, or the wrong thing at a time right for something else. Perhaps the simplest definition of discipleship is imitating Jesus, being more like Jesus. Jesus always knew the right time for the right good. To some he said, "Go, sell all your possessions and give the money to the poor." To his disciples at other times he said, "Don't calculate how much money this will cost. Rely on God's resources for abundant bread, abundant water, abundant wine." This Holy Week, and indeed for much longer in this time of our coronavirus confinement, may we value the right things at the right time. Let's commit ourselves to seeking the light of God's presence and priority through prayer and care for one another and for our world. May we recognize our plenty and never see what we offer to God as waste, but worth it. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, this week may we follow you through your death and into life. May we recognize you as the anointed Christ and see all that we can offer you. Teach us this week to share from our plenty and see the world in the light of your love, now and in eternity.